Well, yes, my people. Blessed love. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night to everyone. Daniel Marshall there. My God, my people, I'm excited about this one on a real base. And we're coming directly from Burkina Faso, has declared war on corruption. My God, hey, it's a chain reaction now, no? Can you imagine how some of them government officials here in Jamaica, how them feel right now? Them not like this because definitely see that some of these things and principles and policies is gonna be implemented here in Jamaica. We're looking for the government now who will initiate these, seeing. So, even with present government right now, because I've been hearing that people saying he's full of corruption and things like that, Yeah, so we know say a lot of them is going down. I personally have a fact know that the corruption is going on wickedly and deeply in the governmental system in Jamaica for a long time. Governmental workers, that's where them go for embezzle money and for corrupt and for steal money from the public and people. It gets so bad now with people that may I tell us that even the common workers who's working in this entity, and not only governmental workers, may I talk about basic place where provided with the basic human commodity like electricity, cable, and it runs very deep in Jamaica, very deep. And I think this is a good move from Ibrahim Traore. You understand me? Because and this is sending a good message to his enemies to let them know that him is not just partial and him just come. Him clean it from the grassroots to rat. What a man! What a man! Can you imagine how the common people them feel? Them couldn't prosper because of these government officials who is keeping them down and keeping themselves up. So my people, without further delay, I'm so excited. And I want to thank my friend who sent this video to me because this is the second one him send right now. And I've been working to, bring it across to the item on a real basis. I know that you guys might have seen it or heard about it, but we have to intensify this because I know how much you, my people, would love Jamaica be clean up from this corruption. You understand me? So that we can have a good, prosperous, and a comfortable country where everybody can strive. You understand me? Not just a country where government officials do whatever they want, steal away the funds and then bank it offshore and then take time, draw with themselves. You understand me? See, these things must cut out because the common people are suffering. It's the same thing. These are the same kind of thing that is messing down KPH hospital, and not only KPH. You understand me? Our medical system is on the same corruption thing. You understand me? Our banking system are the same thing. You understand me? Stop it. We need to stop these activities, my people, You understand me? We embezzle money and steal away the money from the common people. You're seeing so many suffering black people around right now who is lowly, so them not have the brain and them not have the job. Even in the job market, corruption are going on. Even in the churches in Jamaica, full of corrupted ministers who say they are godly men and women. It is, man, Jamaica is loaded. Black people, I want to make a stay, sir. So you know how much people are get arrested right now in Burkina Faso. Loads. What a intelligence. Man, this is called cleansing. He is cleansing, cleaning up his country, cleaning it up. My God. Yo. You see, with all these activities, black people, we're not worthy to stand in any high places. If these things implemented right now in Jamaica, you know what will take place. The people must start rise up now, because here are going now. Britain will have to pay us reparation. It will come in. America too, and France too. Understand me? Germany and all these places that, embezzle and take away money from our small country, they will have to step in now. And so everybody will have a chance to live in a qualified house, man. Understand me? Jamaica is full up of a lot of corruption. Understand me? And all of these mad system and things that happening right now. Whole heap of killing, and everybody a try to hide, and the amount of car accident and things we are going on the road. All of them things that would stop because people would have find a sense of value in themselves, and so find a sense of value in each other. So before further delay, my people, please and thanks, watch this video. Send this video viral from Daniel Marshall. Please and thanks. Even if you watch it already, just watch it again. Put your likes, put your comment in the comment section. You understand me? Blessed love. Let's jump right tonight.
Burkina Faso has just been declared a corruption-free zone. Offshore accounts banned. Hundreds of officials are under arrest. Entire industries were seized by the state. Is this a genuine revolution or something else? Let's find out. A quiet storm began sweeping through the country's administrative ranks. Court clerks received sealed warrants. Military units were deployed not to borders or battlegrounds, but to ministries. Unmarked vehicles arrived at the homes of former finance directors, procurement officers, and customs heads. Phone lines went dead. Social media lit up. No one had been warned, and that was the point. In a single coordinated push, dozens of government officials were taken into custody. Not just one or two scapegoats, but a cross-section of the system itself. People who had operated untouched for years suddenly found themselves facing prosecutors armed with full access to government ledgers, banking records, and private communications. For the first time in living memory, it wasn't. At the center of this purge was an elite investigative unit reporting directly to Captain Ibrahim Traoré. This wasn't the usual anti-corruption commission with limited authority and a bloated budget. This was a war room. Their mission? Track stolen funds, freeze accounts, dismantle the network that had allowed embezzlement to thrive for decades under different governments and empty reform slogans. Shock waves rippled across the capital. Businesses with close ties to the state suddenly found their contracts voided. High-end restaurants known for hosting government clientele emptied overnight. Civil servants refused to answer calls that had no clear ID. It was as if corruption itself had been declared a fugitive, and now no one wanted to be caught sheltering it. Then came the broadcast. On national television, Traoré appeared not in military uniform, but in civilian attire, deliberate, sharp, calm. Without drama or flourish, he spoke of the weight of betrayal that had hung over the country. He didn't name names. He didn't need to. Everyone watching already knew what he was talking about. He promised something that sent a chill through every office desk from Bobo Dioulasso to Uwahiguya. The full recovery of public funds, regardless of where they had been taken or who had taken them. In less than 24 hours, Burkina Faso's political landscape had shifted from cautious reform to calculated rupture. No more committees, no more workshops. This was enforcement, and it was ruthless. But even more unsettling than the arrests was the precision. This wasn't a clumsy military sweep. This was surgical. Files matched, testimonies cross-checked, no leaks, no premature news coverage. It was as if the state had been quietly watching its bloodstream for months, and now, with a scalpel in hand, it was cutting out every tumor it could reach. And the people? They watched in awe. For years, Burkinabe citizens had known who the thieves were. They had seen ministers build mansions overnight. They had watched government vehicles used for private weddings. They had lined up in hospitals without electricity while billions vanished into foreign real estate portfolios. And now, they were seeing something almost mythical: consequences. But beneath the celebration, a question loomed like a shadow. If this was only the beginning, then what had been hidden all this time? Who else was involved? And just how deep would Traoré dig? Let's pause for a second to say, big thank you to the Black Culture Diary community, where Black voices, stories, and legacies are preserved and amplified. By becoming a member, you're not just supporting the channel, you're becoming part of a powerful cultural movement. Let's continue. The arrests were only the warning shot. What followed was a rewrite of how power itself operates in Burkina Faso. In the days after the dramatic crackdown, as the country buzzed with speculation, the real earthquake hit. A series of emergency decrees rolled out from the presidential office, each one more transformative than the last. These weren't vague policy proposals or distant roadmaps. They were binding, immediate, and irreversible. Traoré hadn't just shaken the tree, he was uprooting the soil beneath it. The first legal blow came like a scalpel to the jugular of corruption: a nationwide ban on offshore accounts for any government official, past or present. This wasn't just symbolic, it was enforceable. Overnight, banks across the country received strict orders to freeze any suspicious transfers. International partners were notified. Foreign missions were asked to cooperate or risk diplomatic embarrassment. For a country that had watched its fortunes disappear into the shadows of Swiss vaults and Dubai towers, this was historic. For the first time, a government in West Africa was openly declaring war on financial flight, not just rhetorically, but legislatively. The message was unflinching. Public money belongs to the public. If you've stashed it abroad, prepare to bring it back or lose everything. But Traoré wasn't just focused on the money already gone. He wanted to prevent future theft before it even began. That's where the second law came in. Equally severe, equally unexpected. From now on, no public servant would be allowed to conduct business with the state, not directly, not through a cousin, not through shell companies buried under aliases. If you were on the government payroll, you couldn't sell to it. Period. This move struck at the very core of the corrupt economy. In Burkina Faso, as in many parts of Africa, corruption rarely shows up as a bag of cash passed in secret. It comes disguised as contracts, fake construction tenders, inflated invoices, and ghost supply chains. Civil servants would create companies under relatives' names, win government deals, and funnel the profits back into their own pockets. By banning all business entanglement between public officials and the state, Traoré had effectively shut down the hidden highway that most elite corruption traveled on. This wasn't just rulemaking. It was sabotage against an entire system built on self-dealing, and it didn't stop there. A third decree followed, more personal, more provocative. Every official, from the president's advisors down to local administrators, would now be required to publicly declare their assets, not internally, not behind closed doors, publicly, for all to see. Traoré led by example. His declaration was broadcast on national TV, showing his income, properties, and even personal savings. It was an unprecedented move that sent a clear message. If the president can be transparent, so can everyone else. And if they refused, they would face charges for concealment and presumed illicit enrichment. The speed and aggression of these laws left little room for escape. There were no transition periods, no grandfather clauses. These weren't reforms meant to please international donors or appease activists. They were weapons, designed to crush, expose, and rebuild. For the first time in decades, the machinery of the state was not protecting corruption, it was hunting it. But laws, no matter how bold, are only as strong as the will behind them. And the question hanging over the nation wasn't whether Traoré could pass rules. He clearly could. The real question was, would anyone enforce them when it came to the powerful? That answer came in the next wave. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. The laws were in place and the threats were clear. But in a country where the elite had always floated above the rules like smoke above fire, enforcement was the real test. For decades, officials had watched anti-corruption campaigns come and go, always with big headlines, never with real casualties. Everyone expected the same pattern to repeat, some noise, some reshuffling, and then back to business as usual. That didn't happen this time. Instead, what followed was something few believed possible in a nation where status had long served as a bulletproof vest. Within days of the asset declaration deadline, high-ranking officials began to fall. Not just clerks or mid-tier bureaucrats, but top generals, former ministers, senior advisors, even family members of past presidents. Men and women who once signed million-dollar contracts were now being photographed in courtroom hallways, flanked by armed guards and legal teams. The courtroom became the new battlefield. In these televised trials, the Burkina Faso public saw a spectacle they had been denied for years: accountability with teeth. The evidence was not vague. Investigators presented signed documents, foreign wire transfers, invoices for goods never delivered, and properties purchased through chains of shell companies. Some defendants looked stunned, others broken. The usual arrogance, the smirks, the shrugs, the lawyerly dodges were gone. They weren't being scapegoated, they were being hunted with precision. One particular case stood out: a former procurement head who had, under previous administrations, secured dozens of government tenders for companies linked to her extended family. The state's forensic audit team traced over 1.2 billion CFA francs through layered transfers into luxury properties in Senegal and Morocco. Her defense team tried to stall. They called it political. But the court moved fast. She was convicted, sentenced, and her assets seized, all within 72 hours. Another scandal involved a high-ranking customs official whose lifestyle had long raised eyebrows. Known for throwing lavish parties and importing vehicles well above his salary grade, he had become a symbol of untouchable excess. When investigators raided his property, they didn't just find documents. They found duffel bags of cash hidden under floorboards, not foreign currencies, but neatly stacked local notes meant for public use. He too fell. These trials weren't just about punishment. They were a form of national theater, a performance meant to rebuild trust. Traoré's government knew that laws alone couldn't change public belief. The people needed to see the system bleed. And they did. But this campaign wasn't only about looking backward. New monitoring structures were set up to ensure future cases wouldn't even need to be prosecuted. They'd be stopped before they began. Every major ministry was now assigned a shadow unit, a team of internal auditors reporting directly to the presidency. These weren't external consultants or friendly compliance officers. They were trained watchdogs with the authority to intercept deals in real time and alert the anti-corruption command. Even more unsettling for the corrupt was the anonymous hotline system launched by the state. Civil servants were now empowered to report suspicious activity within their departments, with full legal protection and guaranteed anonymity. This created a culture of internal surveillance, not in the Orwellian sense, but in a way that finally placed fear on the right side of the law. As one journalist put it, for the first time in Burkina Faso, people in power are looking over their shoulders, not because of foreign enemies, but because the law is chasing them. But as the net widened, and the rich and powerful began to sweat, another question rose beneath the celebration. What about the wealth they had already stolen? Justice was one thing, recovery was another. And that's where the next battle began. Taking down the guilty was one thing, but punishing thieves didn't rebuild the stolen hospitals. Courtrooms couldn't pave roads. What the people of Burkina Faso wanted was something more difficult, more delicate, and far more dangerous. They wanted their money back. And that's when Traoré shifted gears again, from arrest to repatriation. Behind closed doors, a special task force was activated, operating under total secrecy and composed of financial analysts, cyber trace specialists, and international legal consultants. Their mission was unprecedented: to identify, trace, and reclaim assets stolen from the Burkina Faso people and hidden abroad. This wasn't just about prosecution. It was about economic resurrection, and it required something rare in African governance: patience and precision. Most of the stolen wealth didn't sit neatly in labeled accounts. It had moved through a labyrinth of shell corporations, fake charities, and luxury purchases across continents. In one case, a trail began with a school construction budget in Fada and Gourma and ended with a beachfront condo in the south of France. Another audit found millions routed through fake medical supply contracts that ended up funding high-end shopping trips in Dubai. The sums were staggering, but the paper trails were real. Burkina Faso's new financial recovery unit didn't ask for permission. They began working directly with independent firms outside traditional Western banking institutions. Traoré, aware that some governments would resist exposing the wealth stored in their systems, sought support from non-aligned states, countries like Turkey, the UAE, Russia, and even emerging partners in Asia. With these nations, recovery agreements were easier to secure. There were fewer lectures, less hypocrisy, and more cooperation. Within months, discrete victories began to emerge. An offshore account holding over 600,000 euros linked to a former agriculture minister was frozen in Luxembourg. A suspicious transfer of $2 million made during the previous administration was intercepted just as it entered a Moroccan investment firm. Multiple properties in Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, and Senegal were flagged, and their ownership traced back to Burkina Faso officials under investigation. But what made this recovery operation different was its transparency. Every major asset reclaimed was logged in a publicly accessible digital registry. Citizens could now view in real time how much had been brought back, where it had come from, and which ministry it had been reallocated to. The government even released a monthly report, breaking down recovered funds by sector, education, health, and infrastructure, showing exactly how the wealth was being re-injected into the economy. This act, revealing not just the crime but the restoration, became one of Traoré's most popular moves. It wasn't just about proving that justice was being done. It was about proving that justice meant something. When the powerful stole, the people didn't just suffer, they got their revenge. Quietly, legally, relentlessly. But this hunt also provoked a backlash. International pressure began to build. Some foreign governments grew uncomfortable with the exposure, especially those whose banks had profited for years from storing looted African funds under legal protection. There were veiled warnings, muted diplomatic protests, even sudden visa delays for Burkina Faso investigators trying to pursue leads abroad. Yet Traoré remained unmoved, as he stated in a closed-door briefing that later leaked online. "If our enemies hide in glass towers overseas, then we will shine a light so bright that even their lawyers won't be able to look away." Still, recovery wasn't just about finances. There was something deeper that needed to be reclaimed. Something even more fragile than stolen funds. The people's belief in ownership. The belief that what was built on Burkina Faso land should belong in Burkina Faso hands. And that belief would only be tested when the fight reached the gold under their feet. Once the stolen money abroad had been chased down, frozen, and exposed, Traoré turned inward, not to the cities, but to the soil. Because for all the bribery, all the shell companies, all the offshore games that drained Burkina Faso's wealth over decades, the biggest leak was still underground. It wasn't hidden in ledgers or vaults. It was mined every day, loaded onto trucks, and shipped quietly out of the country in broad daylight. Gold. Burkina Faso is one of Africa's top gold producers, yet it has remained one of its poorest nations. For Traoré, that wasn't a contradiction. It was a diagnosis. "We were rich," he once said in a closed military council, but only for other people. His war on corruption would never be complete unless he closed the deepest wound of all, foreign plunder of domestic resources. So he made his boldest move yet. One morning, with no advance notice and no public fanfare, Traoré issued a classified directive, an immediate halt to all new foreign gold export licenses. Every existing contract was ordered into an audit. Mining zones with ambiguous ownership or suspicious revenue declarations were seized by the state. Multinational companies with decades of control over local mines suddenly found their operations suspended. There was no negotiation. The country's wealth, Traoré declared, would no longer be traded for handshakes and promises. "By the way, we have launched a merch that honors the African leaders who are taking a stand for Africa. Check them out, to show you also stand with loyal sons of Africa, no matter where you are." Coming back, this wasn't nationalization by press release. It was nationalization by action. Soldiers were deployed to secure high-value mining sites. Satellite surveillance was activated to monitor illegal transport routes. A new legal framework was drafted that reclassified gold as a strategic security asset, placing it under the protection of the armed forces, not just the Ministry of Mining. But perhaps the most revolutionary aspect wasn't about shutting others out. It was about building something entirely new. In the heart of the Sahel, construction quietly began on a gold refinery owned and operated by the Burkina Faso state. It was to be the first of its kind in the country's history. No longer would raw gold be exported unrefined, losing billions in value to processing fees abroad. Now, Burkina Faso would refine its wealth, regulate its pricing, and retain its profits. This was economic decolonization in its most literal form. Inside the refinery's blueprint was more than just infrastructure. It was sovereignty in steel and concrete. Engineers were sourced locally. Contracts were transparent. International advisors were welcomed, but only those without prior ties to companies that had extracted from Burkina Faso in the past. The message was unmistakable. This wasn't a favor from foreign capital. This was ownership. And it wasn't just about money. Gold had become a symbol, not of prosperity, but of betrayal. Entire villages had watched as foreign trucks rumbled past their crumbling schools and dark hospitals, carrying away wealth that never returned. Now, under Traoré's reforms, those same communities were being offered something radically different: equity. A portion of refined gold revenues was earmarked for regional development funds. Labor quotas were introduced. Schools near mining zones were prioritized for new infrastructure. But with this reclamation came resistance. Former contract holders began lobbying foreign governments. Some accused Traoré of economic nationalism. Others warned of sanctions. International mining lobbies began publishing reports painting Burkina Faso as unstable and unreliable. But inside the country, the mood was different. For once, the ground beneath their feet felt like it belonged to them. This final act wasn't just about ending corruption. It was about creating something more permanent than prosecutions or policy. It was about rewriting the story of who owns Burkina Faso's future. Not a president, not a company, not a donor, but the people. And now, as the dust settles over locked vaults, fallen ministers, reclaimed land, and revived confidence, one final question remains. Can it last? Do you think it will last? Is Traoré building a legacy or making enemies too powerful to fight? Let us know in the comment section. If this is what justice looks like, why don't more leaders try it? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.